Now, don't quit on me just yet. I know it's another vintage style watch that's paying homage to something from the past, but bear with me because this watch is special. I'm saying that because they've paid me £5,000 to say that. But no, not really. What they've done is they said, can we lend you this watch? I said yes. I've borrowed it. I've done my research. I believe it or not, for someone who loves vintage watches, someone who loves military style watches, I'm wearing a G10 right now, which I restored. Check out that video. I love this kind of thing. And I was like, what's an A-11? What's that? And I was thinking, I better do some research if I'm going to review this watch. So I read up about the watch and I thought, this is amazing. It is, quote, the watch that won the war. Not literally, because that's not possible. No, it's a watch that many heroic soldiers wore. And they've chosen, out of all those soldiers, one of them. For this edition, Mr. Tom Rice. Well done, Tom, for being chosen out of all the millions of soldiers, many who had perished wearing these watches. You're special enough to have your name attached to this watch. So why is the A-11 special? Well, effectively, it's a watch from the wartime that they all wore. It had a specific set of requirements, a bit like the Dirty Dozen field watches, things like that. So this watch is following that theme with more modern tech in it. Does it pass the test? Is it a success? I'm very biased anyway because I love this kind of thing, but am I still impressed? That's what you're going to find out.
Here, hold us till I get back.
Even though I like this watch, I've managed to find lots of dislikes, so you're going to have to stick with me when I go through all those things. First things that I like, which are the easy things to talk about, is I just like the history behind the A-11 watch. I mean, I'm not going to bore you to death with that, but just look up the watch that won the war. Is not literally what it did, but it's a watch, this design, it's a specification that was spec'd for this type of watch for pilots, so they could synchronize their missions together and all that jazz, and this is the design. The original watches are a bit smaller than this. This is the 38. They also do a 42, but I think it's sold out. I just think it's a very clean, very simple design, very legible. That's what you need, and that is a positive as well, is the legibility, especially with the contrast, the black hands against that cream dial. Very clear Arabics on there, and you've got the nice 10-minute markers. That's one of the increments that they chose as they specified for when they designed this watch way back in the war. It is very well made watch. It's assembled in the USA as well. It's another positive. So it's imported parts from China, probably, but it's all put together in the USA by hopefully well-paid American people. And as all the other details say, none of it actually really to do with the specification. It's all just about Tom Rice, what division he was in, and the year, and he lost his watch because he was a bit clumsy when he was jumping out of an aeroplane. And I'm like, well, I'm not very impressed, Mr. Rice. You should look after your things. It's lucky you didn't just knock your parachute off, is it? Because it'd be a different whole story, wouldn't it? So, silly man lost his watch, and then 11,000 days later, he has got a watch named after him. So, it ended up with a positive in the end, and so that's quite cool. I do love this lume on this watch. It is extremely bright, well-lasting. Indices last a lot less because they're applied, but it seems to be loaded nicely into these beautiful hands. I do love these hands, very of that era. So nice and big and bold and clear, really nice and easy to read. Why am I screwing that down? Because it doesn't screw down. Yeah, I've said already, the black hands and the cream dial, really pretty. Very neutral, no logos and extra crap on there. It's got that military look, which is what you want because it's a military style blooming watch. The price is good, $250 is great for something hand assembled in America with imported parts. It's great. I'd say you're getting a really good little interesting backstory to your $250. So when you wear your watch, someone says, oh, that's a pretty watch, and you can say, well, there's a bit of story behind this, and you can bore them to death and watch them fall asleep as you talk to them, as often happens to me when I try and talk to people about watches who don't like watches. But now we're going to talk about the negatives. Unfortunately, there are some. It's not a perfect watch. There never is one, or is there? Don't like mineral. Not going to rant and rave. Why? Because there's three options, in my opinion. Obviously, there's more. Acrylic, vintage, tough, doesn't break, perfect for pilot watches, because if you donk it, it doesn't explode into bits and go everywhere. Then you've got mineral, which is tough, more scratch resistant than acrylic, but it scratches like buggery and you can't polish it out, and then it still can crack and shatter and leave bits everywhere and blind everyone around you. Sapphire is the next best option. It's like mineral but doesn't scratch. But it can still shatter and leave bits to go around and destroy an aeroplane from the inside out. And then they put AR coating on it, which is garish and purple, which cheapens it and makes it look modern but crap. NH35, 38 would have been better because this has a ghost position. I hate ghost positions now. I've got a new thing. I hate them. Stupid. Strap is very long. Goes on forever. I have a normal wrist size for a man, 7¼ inches. I'm going to put this on and show you again. If I'm going to put this over a flight jacket, maybe I'd need all these extra holes, but I'm on the second hole. So for all you larger folk out there, you have definitely got a bit more inches of coverage here. But if you've got a dinky little wrist, this won't fit you. This is the smallest size they do. And it would be rude to not show this on another strap. So this is the other strap it comes with. So I'll put it on and I'll show what it's like. There we go. Nice, very tough, very stiff strap. It's just a bit out of proportion to this watch. I mean, it's a 38mm watch and this strap is just dead straight, no taper, extremely long. Sorry, the straps are a bit shit. So how do you solve that problem? Well, that's where I come in, of course. First one, why have I gone for green? Well, I think green complements this very well. And I've gone for rubber as well, because I'm thinking rubber is great for this time of year. The weather's improving, very comfortable. Again, this is popular on dive watches, but I think it's worth experimenting with this textured pattern to sort of break away from the usual sort of neutral design you've got with this watch. Have something a bit of interest on the strap. This is called the Pioneer, again, available in my store. I recommend trying out a NATO strap. If you're not a fan, give them a chance. This isn't a thick watch, that helps. And I've got one for black hardware because it's going to work really well with the black hands and the black indices on here. And I just think it looks really smart. And I like my straps because you always have just about enough so you can have some surplus that tucks in there. So it's nice and neat. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I think the two size options are a bit bad. They've obviously sold out of the bigger size because people like bigger watches. I actually am more swaying towards, I wish they did it in a 36 or 38. Cater for more of a market for people wanting that vintage military antique older style watch and have sizes that are in keeping with that. But that's just my opinion. I know modern tastes have changed and they want a modern watch size with the aesthetic of an old watch. I don't like this crown action. NH35s are fine, they're light anyway, but when you increase the crown size, the feel of the crown is almost like nothing. It's just so weightless. And I think they missed a bit of a chance to do something a bit more special regarding the history, believe it or not. They talk a lot about Mr. Tom Rice and his story, and I think that's great. But this is where I think they could have gone down the road of calling this the 101 or the 101st Airborne Division. I don't know, just something, not name it after one person, because one person didn't win the war. One person is a hero, but isn't the only hero. Let's do watches that cover many more people collectively together. Commemorate the many, not the few or the one. And that's where I find it's gone a little bit to, oh, this Tom Rice is a hero. What about all his mates that died jumping out those aeroplanes and everyone else? All the other thousands and millions of people that have done so many things heroic. How do we commemorate them a bit more? Yes, overall I would recommend it. I think there should be a few little tweaks if they did a version 2. They should just make it a bit more authentic, in my opinion. I'm thinking, if you're going to go full modern materials, like I've said, go with sapphire and put maybe an NH38 in there, the best affordable option in there, so you don't have the ghost date position. Little details like that. You're charging $250. You should be making these kind of subtle little updates, just to make it less things for people like me to criticise. In the meantime, what a fantastic watch that covers a lot of the bases. I've had my own personal complaints, which I've just said, as well as what I said earlier on, but that's just my opinion, guys. That's why you're here. If you stuck to the end, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you in another one. If you're a regular, thanks for coming back. I haven't scared you off just yet. Before you newbies out there, join the gang. Press subscribe. Bet you didn't realise it was free. Or you did, and you just don't like me enough. Anyway, see you in the next one. Bye for now.